Hey everyone, making another video. I'm gonna do some cooking. I actually made this video last week before Thanksgiving. Every time I find myself cooking now, I think, oh, I should be filming this. Over Thanksgiving, I think I had planned to make 9 or 10 things, and I made one fewer than what I'd planned. Still made a bunch of food for just four of us who actually eat food in the house. I took pictures of it, it's the best I did. But I went and sat down recently to edit a video that I made at the start of last week when I was trying to make simple food before Thanksgiving, so I wasn't larding myself down too much. And I just hate the sound of my own voice. I don't know how other people do it. I listen to my own voice, and it's obviously, I think, a bit of a joke that everyone hates the sound of their own voice. But I also realize that in most of my videos, I just sound tired, which maybe is simply accurate. But I'm going to try to smile a little more. I'm going to try something a little new. I've made a kind of scrappy little animation to go along with this. Um, Last week, before I was making this video that I'm going to get to here in a sec about cooking, I was thinking about how much time I don't have. I guess it's a silly way of saying it, but how much time I don't have in my day. Uh, and I was thinking through when I lie in bed at night and trying to fall asleep and things racing through my head. Obviously, all sorts of thoughts, but one of the thoughts I have is, how do I have time for anything? I want to do this, I want to do that, never have time for any of it. So I started sort of listing in my mind all these different things that I'm trying to do. And a lot of it's stuff that I'd like to do and don't have time for, or I try to make time for and never get quite enough. And a lot of it's stuff that just stress me out that I want to do, but I also don't have time for. So for the purposes of the video, I went ahead and I started writing them down. As a good way to get things out. I tend to keep a little notebook day to day anyway. This one's fallen apart and covered in breadcrumbs, but I keep my little notebook of just what I'm doing on a given day. It's always a bit of a mess. I'm bad at keeping it organized at the best of times, but I try. So in the spirit of writing things down, I made this list and it has my hobbies on it. Reading, I'm just going to go through. This is going to be the animation. You'll see it's going to look really cool. I will start now. Hobbies. So reading, I used to love reading. I was one of those kids who read all the time, and I don't do nearly enough of it as much anymore. Writing, I started this YouTube channel as a way, honestly, of hoping to get a little bit of traction, in the hope that it would make it easier for me to get the things I'm writing published. To date, I've had zero success in that regard. But I like to write. I write a lot of fiction. Well, I don't write a lot. I write fiction. I've written some kids' stories recently. I illustrated a kid's story. I'll do a video soon about the kids' book that I wrote and illustrated. It is, as yet, just something that sits around at home and I show anyone who's willing to talk to me about it. But I like that. Screen printing, you've seen me in videos wearing shirts that I make myself. I love to screen print. I've got right now at least 3 more ideas for some t-shirt designs that I want to make, including one of our dogs, one that is a musical theatre in joke for one of our oldest kids' musical theatre performance that'll be coming up next month. I need to get on that. Lord have mercy. Uh, Guitar, I've been trying to learn guitar for a couple of years now. For a while I was practicing intensely and I was still bad, but for a brand new beginner I got kind of okay kind of quickly and then let it lapse, and I have been trying to practice more diligently. Gardening, I love to garden. I'm in the process of looking out my window every single day and ruining my decision to build a veggie garden in our front yard. I need to build the patio in our backyard, and then I'm gonna build a veggie garden in our backyard and tear up my front yard veggie garden. But I love to garden. That'll be come springtime. I'll talk more about that. Trivia, new hobby of mine, sort of diligently. I've off and on done a lot of pub quiz. I love obviously just the Wikipedia kind of wiki hole thing, but I like to listen to trivia podcasts and watch some game shows on YouTube, read trivia questions, logic puzzle books and such. It's sort of a recent obsession. Bicycling. I used to bike everywhere. When we lived in Seattle, I rode my bike to work every day. When we lived in Denver for a year, I almost never drove. Literally never. I bought a bike that I could put both kids on, and I put thousands of miles on that bike in the course of a year. I think over 3,000 miles in a year. Drove the car maybe 5 times that year. Um, all my grocery shopping, riding the kids to school, and swim lessons and everything, all on the bike. Unfortunately, for all its wonders, Charlottesville's not super bike friendly, especially when you're outside of town. So I don't bike near as much anymore, but love it. Camping, again, just sort of general catch-all for outdoorsy stuff. I wish I had more time for it. I'm going to say that about everything on this list. I wish I had more time for it. But camping, canoeing, I bought a canoe this past summer. Love canoeing. It was fun. I only did it a handful of times with the kids. Hiking, all of that. Camping's great. I would say camping's a bit like anal sex. Takes a lot of preparation. It's kind of uncomfortable. You smell like shit afterwards. Some people love it, and you're going to need they get all the specialized equipment and everything. Some people hate it, never want to do it. I think for most of us, it's just every now and then, maybe there's a long weekend, you call up 5 or 6 of your friends and really just go nuts. Bridge, started trying to learn bridge recently. My grandma was a bridge player all her life. I never knew how to play and saw a book on it recently in a secondhand bookstore, picked it up, trying to learn how to play. Shooting, again, I used to do a lot of trap shooting or skeet shooting when we were in San Francisco. There was now closed a gun club there. You could go. I bought an air rifle recently, so I could just plink in my backyard because obviously you can't pop off shotguns in your backyard if people live anywhere near you. Making these videos, a new hobby also. I've been doing that. It's kind of fun, trying to stay on top of it. Therapy, I don't know if it counts as a hobby, but it's one of the very few things on this list that I diligently make time for. I probably spend, at least an hour a week in therapy. Seeing a psychiatrist, that's been pretty good for me. It makes me feel most of the time better, and I make time for it, so I'm gonna call it a hobby. Fixing the car, I don't know how to work on cars, but I have it in my mind that I should know. So at some point I might start making videos about how to get a 2002 Ford Mustang running again and then make it fast, and I can have the stupid muscle car that I always wanted as a teenager and never had. Lawyering, bit of a hobby, I guess. It was a corporate litigator for 10 years and not anymore. I just recently started, after a couple of years off, doing a little bit of lawyering again, just for something to do. So put it on there. Juggling, metaphorical and literal. I learned how to juggle a few years back. I can juggle 3 balls, can't do any more, but every now and then I think, I should get better at this, and try, fail. Spanish, learning Spanish. I studied Spanish in college. It used to be a lot easier to practice, but I'm trying to practice more, listen to the news in Spanish and so on. And then I've got my to-do list, which is, it's monstrous as well. We have a water line that might be leaking I need to fix. I've got gutters outside that I need to get plumbed into the right spot rather than just pour on the ground. We're building a patio. Siding, one of our dogs, Kevin, bane of my existence, chewed a piece of siding off one side of our house, and then the other side, so I've got 2 spots I need to fix siding. We need new doors. I've got someone coming out this week to measure for them. Build a veggie garden. I love gardening, but I've got to build a garden for it. Got to get my kids Australian citizenship, been meaning to do it for years, still haven't. Reupholstering some chairs. We have these super cool mid-century chairs. At some point I'll make a video about how to reupholster chairs. I'll have to learn first. Cleaning up the garage so I can actually do stuff in there, like work on that car. Hiding speaker wire. This is just everything that popped into my head. Refinishing the deck outside. I can't even see what's organising the mudroom. It's a mess right now. I feel like my life would be a lot better if I did that. Editing these videos, that's a pain in my ass too. I mean, I like making them, but then I have to edit them. And then over the top of all of that is just life comes in. Every single day you got to get up and make breakfast and pack lunches and do the dishes and take care of a baby. And that's what I spend most of my time doing. So on top of all of that, just that day-to-day existence, I figured I'd make a video about how to make something simple, and I'm hoping that I can cut neatly into my video at the end of this little voiceover. So this is a video in defense of simplicity, such as it goes. We're going to see how we do with making a video. It's not going to work in one shot, I guess. Look at that. Okay, we'll cut this and Start over, I suppose. Here, we'll spin it around. Boom, still recording. Why not one shot? I don't care. We're going to do it. Oh, that's zoom now. Can I switch it over? Boom, simplicity. So, in defense of simplicity, see if we can get some tracking going on here. Hang on, over one. Bam, me right in the shot. Okay, in defense of simplicity. All this, just gonna have to make it work. So about the simplest thing you can make, I reckon, is pasta. I make pasta probably, oh my God, it's the two of us again, isn't it? Okay, you're gonna mess my videos up every time. Hang on, we'll do the active track off. Both in the shot. We got the stove. We got it all. Oh, can't lose. Pasta. Beans and rice, high on the list. Pasta as well. I am making, for want of a better term, spaghetti bolognese. And just in defense of simplicity, we're going to do this, other than my neat little attempt at animation at the start. We're going to try to do a pretty simple all-in-one shot video to show you how quickly you can whip up pasta sauce at home. I told myself I knew the order of operations I was going to do this in, and I'm already off it. Okay, so I make a lot of pasta. The standard that the kids love, obviously, is something approaching the spaghetti bolognese. If you don't eat meat, you shouldn't. You can do a delicious red sauce. In the US, it's what they call marinara. I hadn't heard of that till I moved here, but you know, red pasta sauce. Quite easily. I'm going to do another video sometime soon about how easily you can make a vegan and delicious cashew-based cream sauce that works for almost anything you care to make. But for right now, simple red sauce, vegan, delicious, versatile. This same basic principle of cooking is what I use to make a red sauce for pizza. Get in there. You can make it a little, bless you, bless you again. You can make it a little creamy with the addition of some blended up cashews. You can make it spicy. You can throw in fancy stuff if you want, but you don't need to. So you start with cooking you some onions. You're going to add to that some garlic, some tomatoes. I use canned whole tomatoes. You can get these pretty cheap. Obviously, you can get them at most, I think pretty much any supermarket's going to have them. The whole tomatoes, I think, taste the best. They're relatively cheap, and it's pretty easy to get them in shape for a sauce. If you like a chunky sauce, you can do something as messy as pulling out the tomatoes and chopping them. You can put them through a blender. You could probably even do them whole. If you want to get really fancy, pour this whole can of tomatoes into a cast iron and put them in the oven to roast. Roast your tomatoes, roast your onions, roast your garlic, and once that's all done, either reduce it down a little bit, process it down, or go with a nice chunky sauce. But for what we're doing, we're going to go for a smooth sauce. We got tomatoes, we got garlic. I've got TVP. I'm a huge fan of TVP. I can tell you, I'm pretty certain TVP has been the subject of federal civil rights litigation by inmates who claim that using TVP instead of meat violates their civil rights. So, you know, opinions vary. But for a bolognese sauce and also vegan chili, TVP is fantastic. It's soy protein, defatted soy protein. There's no way of saying it that sounds good, but if you cook it, it tastes good. Cook it right, it tastes good. So I like to TVP. We're going to lose you because we're not tracking. People are going to have to deal with that. A little boiling water to hydrate it. If you're feeling up to it and have the time, you can use stock, heat up your stock, veggie stock, let it hydrate, and you'll be good to go. But for what I'm doing right now, we're going just hot water. There we go. We're going to make some noise as we go. And you know what? We're going old school. Turning the camera. Here it is. Tomatoes. Straight in the blender. We'll make a noise. I thought real hard about how to edit this so you wouldn't have to listen to this, but I'm not going to. So everyone's just going to listen to this for a sec. But that's as long as you need. Boom. My Vitamix container, I made turmeric milk recently, and I have not been able to get that turmeric yellow out of my blender, so it's just that color. Bleach usually gets turmeric out of treat. If you get it onto your counters, spray a little bleach on there, it'll turn kind of a funny orangey brown and then wipe right off. I have definitely got the turmeric stain on my blender to be less. Oh yeah, you get in the water too. It's all happening. If a baby cries, you're in for that too. I've gotten the turmeric on this a little less, but it isn't going away just yet. So we got those onions cooking. Bam, we got the tomatoes ready to go. We'll probably rinse that out with a little hot water, just so we're not wasting any tomato goodness. There we go, a little hot water in there, ready to rinse out the blender. I don't know, I'm just trying to fill time at this point. These can openers, other than the traditional ones, you know, the side, these ones that you put on top and spin, they leave your cans with no sharp edges. I don't understand the science behind it, but it's fantastic because then you can use these cans for stuff without worrying about cutting your fingers. Garlic. If you want to make life easier on yourself, you can do one of two things for garlic. Obviously, I think people by now are probably familiar with shaking garlic. You know, you put it in a jar, cocktail shaker, saucepan, shake it real hard and the skin comes right off. You know, it's a good workout, it's worthwhile. I'm not against it. But I've also found that if you pop it in the microwave, there's probably some reason not to do it that I haven't yet discovered. But if you pop your garlic in the microwave for about 10 seconds, woo, that's hot. Dogs will get it. The skin comes right off. So then you got garlic ready to go. Boom. And the TVP. Look at that. Boom. Boom. Missed that one. The rays didn't get to it. You coming off? That one's coming off. You better not kick my cutting board, you little nut. You got your garlics, you got your onions, you got your tomatoes and your TVPs. Are we getting that out? We'll get that out. Look at that. Boom. It is 9:30 in the morning. I got home from dropping the kids off from school and decided I was going to make this video right out the gate while the baby was awake, because I figured we could do it together without too much hassle. And I reckon we're right. I reckon it's going to happen. Onion getting close to cooked enough. I've talked before about how long you need to cook onion, but you know, there's no shame in being a little bit lazy when you need to be. Be kind to yourself, be gracious. Life gets in the way. Be good to yourself. Olive oil, onion, a little bit of salt, let it go. Boom, TVP, we'll call that cooked enough. Get in there. Bam. Cook you some TVP in there for a little bit. You know, treat it like you would ground beef, except feel good about eating it rather than like you're committing a number of grave moral sins. So there you go. Let that go for a little bit. While it's going, get you some garlic. 1, 2, 3, go. Boom. Garlic. I'm I'm not above mortar and pestle either, but when you're making a pasta sauce, you know, think rustic. Things can be chunky. No shame in the game. Boom, boom. Get it done. A little bit of garlic skin, probably won't hurt you. I mean, we're getting enough dog hair for fibre, so a little garlic skin can't possibly hurt us either. You're right there, hands back, hands back. All right, we got the garlic ready. Look at this, man, we're doing it. We're doing it. Chunky garlic. I say whack a little pepper in there, a little fresh ground pepper. Honey, I think we could all use some fresh cracked pepper. I said that was the only time you were going to hear me reference Sex and the City. I lied. Mere seconds ago, almost made a second Sex and the City reference. I'll make it now. There's this really interesting bit. I'm not a huge Sex and the City fan, although I have seen a lot of it. Obviously, Samantha's fantastic, just the best. There's this one scene, I just don't like the writing in it that much, but there is one scene that I thought was really clever writing. Carrie goes over to Big's house and he's cooking pasta sauce. And he says, try this. The secret is to cook the garlic first. And she tries it and says, it tastes bitter. And that's it. That's all the comment they make on it. But it's interesting because it is absolutely true. If you overcook garlic, it gets bitter. When you're cooking with onions and garlic, cook your onion first. Cook the onion, let it cook down, let it get soft. Whack in your garlic, and don't let it get too hot. Whack in your garlic and then, you know, your other sauce ingredients, whatever else you're cooking, because you don't want the garlic to get too hot, too cooked, and then bitter. Anyway, neat piece of writing in Sex and the City. For what it's worth, it happens. I shouldn't be too judgmental, I'm sure. Something to work on, something to talk about on Fridays at therapy. There we go. Put the garlic in. The other thing I do for simplicity that I'm just going to commend unto you is buy really cheap knives. I buy the cheap plastic handle knives and I sharpen the shit out of them. If I've talked about this previously, I'm sorry. I spent not terribly much money on this knife sharpener. If you buy really nice, expensive knives, at some point they're going to go dull. And then when it's time to sharpen them, you've got to ask yourself, I've just spent $100, $200 or some crazy number on this knife. Do I trust myself to sharpen it without ruining it? And you maybe you're great at sharpening knives, bully for you. You may not. I never really did. So I would pay someone to sharpen it. And then you're in for yet more money and you're out of a knife for a little bit. And of course, if you don't find someone who knows what they're doing, they can ruin your knives for you. And they're a pain in the ass to wash because you don't want to buy a nice expensive knife, get it really sharp, and then put it in your dishwasher and ruin the thing. So you don't do that, you hand wash them. It's a pain. You spend, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks on a plastic handled chef's knife like this. It comes out the box sharp enough, you use it, it gets dull pretty quick. When you're done sharpening stuff, you put it in the dishwasher. I know, it'll get dull even quicker. Well, I'll feed you. I'll feed you. Yeah, well, you can't have you crying on camera. That just doesn't work. Use it, whack it in the dishwasher. It gets even more dull. And then sharpen it in this thing. Sharpen it in that. It takes a good amount off your blade when you first set the edge on it. But you keep doing that. Sharpen it as often as you want. Keep it razor sharp. Keep putting it in the dishwasher. Keep sharpening it. It will not last you the rest of your life. It's not an heirloom. I've had this knife for, I don't know, probably a year. It's served me perfectly well. I bet it's got another few years in it. And even if it doesn't, when I'm done with it, I can get another one, and that'll be that. Cheap knives, dishwasher, relatively inexpensive knife sharpener. One of the many ways I'm trying to simplify my life. Joys of simple cooking. Oh, I know. Anywho, you got your onions, your garlic, your TVP, fresh cracked pepper. Boom. Into that. tomatoes. I know. And like I said, we don't want to waste any of that tomatoey goodness. We'll rinse this guy out a little bit. Oh, if I wasn't so worried about being nice to my viewers, I'd whiz that through the Vitamix again just to get it all out, but I'm feeling kind today. Stir that in and let it cook for a while. Tomatoes will cook down. I want to say that's the Maillard reaction. That'll get you a little darkening of the color. There we go. Some of the sugars in there start to caramelize, and the onions as well. So right now I've got one shot. It's happening. And then you're going to get the dirty oven. Can I get down there? There it is. You got this kind of pinkish color right now. I will take another shot of it in about half an hour or so. Boom, half an hour or so. Once it's cooked, it'll be a much darker red. And then you can turn that off, have it sitting ready to go. This afternoon, this evening, when I get back from running the kids around, I'll cook some pasta. It takes about 20 minutes. And either saute some spinach for the side, cook a little broccoli for the side, or if I'm feeling particularly lazy and just like it, grab a couple of handfuls of the baby spinach and just whack it straight in the sauce, stir it in, it'll cook like that. And then you got some green on the plate. Not guaranteeing the kids will eat it, but it'll be there.
I'd eat that.